On Pei Amabeis, it says Makro, second last line.
Makro love you sell him to his father, or to his brother, or Echad, or one of his relatives. Chayav HaGonev.
No, Chayav. Okay, so the Gemara says, if I ransom, let's use ransom to make it simple. I kidnap someone, okay, I do Imor, okay, and then I sell the kid back to who? His father, or even to a relative. Just be careful, we're a relative. Let's make it more fun. I kidnap David, right? I do everything I'm supposed to do. It makes me a great cup of coffee, and then what I do, I sell him back to mommy, okay, or daddy, right? Because they want you back, right? I get a nice ransom. So the Gemara says at this point, I'm chayav, right, as Gonev Nefashos at this point.
It shows you something important.
Oh, don't even think about defining it yet. Go on. You gotta be careful. We'll see.
If he kidnaps one of the slaves, pater.
Pater, right? So if you kidnap an Eved, you're pater. Now, does that make sense, by the way?
Rashi chimes in with the Shahari Logan.
No, that's on the previous pater.
Kidnap an Eved, you're pater from what? You need three elements, and you just talked about.
No, but let's say I kidnapped. Let's say I took an Eved. I
did all three things.
I did all three things. I'm still not chayav. We have to explain that. Well, the question you should ask is why aren't you chayav?
Right, who cares?
Right, who cares if he's an Eved or not? Okay, keep going in the Gemara. It's a little tricky, but.
Tani.
Oh, wait, you know what? Before you go, just make it simple so you guys understand what the Gemara is trying to do. The Gemara originally said you're chayav if I kidnap someone and ransom him back to his parents. Okay, the Gemara says you're chayav, but the Gemara is going to ultiminely reject that. It's really a havmina. The Gemara is saying no, really you're pater. Okay,
You're pater
when you sell it to a karov or a parent. So meaning that in the classic case, if I go ahead and kidnap David, I do rishus, I do imor, and then I sell him back to his parents. Ultimately, I'm pater.
So what's this? What is this saying?
So it's a havmina. You'll see. So Tani Tana Kamei Derav Sheshis. Let's keep going.
Where are we?
Pei Vav Amalaf.
The other way that there was a havamina to say it was pater, and that's why it's
No. That's why I'm cheating ahead. I'm letting you know what the Gemara is going to say. Trust me. All right, go. Top of Pei Vav Amalaf.
Tani Kamei, learn the price before to have shadus. Amar Le Ani Shona Rav Shimon.
So I learned that Rabbi Shimon Omer.
Achav.
So the Torah says Mei Echav. So when I take him out from Mei Echav, from his brothers, okay?
Arda Sheyotzinu Mershus Achav.
Achiv, okay?
He's taken out from the Rishus of the brother.
Okay, meaning what? What does that mean? What does that mean? You get a sense what he's saying? What's bothering him? That's why I cheated and told you really it's pater. Question is, why does the Gemara get to that point? The Torah says Mei Echav.
At first, using someone else's rishus.
What do you mean?
It means you would take someone from their rishus to yours, not somebody else's to somebody else's.
No. No, Arya's right. His home. Okay, his home. Now, but you gotta be careful. When we mean home, we don't really mean home because if I kidnap a 60-year-old and I ransom him back to his 80-year-old father, no, it's not religious either. It's like okay.
What about like the woman and the baby? It's like that kind of.
No, it's different.
No,
that's Emor. That was a different Emor. What?
Doesn't the Mishnah say me Yisrael?
So now the question is, what are the parameters?
Yes and no. But the question of it's a problem with the mechira. David, you hit it really well though. The issue is a mechira. All right, so why not? So that's really the question. Okay.
Why not? Why not what? Why not chayav?
There's the Gemara. The Havamina is that you would think that I'm chayav even if I sell him back to his father. Kamash malad, and I'm pater. Why am I pater? Why are you pater?
Why can't you assume that there's a
There's a crucial element of the sale.
To say that they are pater, and then now they're saying they're chayav?
What do you mean?
Well, why does Gemara specifically mention from your father and your brother and your krovim? So there must be an assumption that they were pater.
I still don't understand what you mean. One more time.
Meaning, when the Gemara says,
yeah.
Chayav.
All right, so no.
So there must be doesn't it sound like there's a havamina over there?
That you're chayav.
That you're pater.
No. So that's what I'm saying. So the Gemara comes along and says, it has to mean tani pater. Of course, the Gemara meant to say pater. Okay, I mean you can't really tell me you're chayav. So what I'm saying is that the Gemara is switching around. The Gemara is saying that the havamina is that you're chayav. It didn't mean to write pater. Right, it meant to write pater. So really the havamina is you're chayav.
Changing the Gemara.
Exactly. Okay. So the question is, why would you think that you're chayav, and why do you think you're pater?
Because you sold him.
Okay.
The havamina makes sense.
Well, I agree. The havamina is a simple one.
Not so much.
Well, that's the trick. That's the trick.
Why can you say achav literal? Like why is he forced to do that?
What do you mean?
Like how are you learning achav that it's like just a more.
Well, we gotta be careful here. In other words,
I'm not going to be a kidnapped person anymore.
You're not defined as a nigga.
When I'm sold to my father, I'm not a kidnapped person.
Right? Why
When
not?
I'm so because I'm being freed.
Okay.
Pretty much. But when I'm being sold to Ezra, I'm still a kidnapped person.
Right, but the Halamina.
I'm at
right, yeah.
Like that.
Very good. Okay, so 1 second.
Because the nature of my father is not treated like an object.
Right.
So
Okay.
really, there's a din.
Good. The Havina would say that. Remember, Remember before. This is why it's very.
You still
He
know
still
that-
viewed
Hold
it.
on.
You don't know when you sell someone to their father, they're not a kidnapped person anymore. Once they
I
get
know.
kidnapped,
What's
they're
this?
kidnapped. So who cares?
Jacob say who cares?
Axes, you're in
No.
Right.
Again, let's get everything. Let's make sure we're all clear here. Okay. Beforehand, by the case of Emor, we did mention that it's not purely the way the guy relates to them, because remember, by Emor, there's an element of subjugation, right? That the
Right, but only because it ends up affecting him.
I
also.
agree. So here now the question is, when we look at the mechira, okay, we
You
look at the
think it
mechira. So the question is does it just go based on the fact that the guy is rendering him into commodity, right? Which it wouldn't matter. Who cares if the guy goes back to his father or not? Ultimately,
He needs to continue his status as being used as an object.
right? Exactly.
No.
Exactly. When you sell back to Karov, you can't tell me that. Why?
Because he knows
Because
he's
when
free.
well, exactly.
Even
What does he
the
know?
seller
He knows one
knows
thing. If I get sold back to my parents, I'm being free.
Why is
Let's
that
say he's
part of
selling
it?
his father. He
Even
doesn't
the
know
seller
about it.
knows.
He doesn't know who he's.
It wouldn't
selling.
matter. He doesn't know who he's being sold to. You mean
He doesn't know.
Wouldn't matter
His
though.
father's really
No,
fucking,
it
but
doesn't
he
matter.
doesn't
No, because what's the result of that mechira?
He's so free.
By definition.
Right, so
He's back to Echov.
Right, he's back to Echov, exactly.
Okay, so then you gotta say that it doesn't affect the person, the
I'm not saying
kidnapper.
it doesn't have to affect him. I'm just saying that the point though is that what's clear. Everyone agrees on one thing. What's clearly changing here? You all see what the idea is. What's changing is that when you're sold to a Karov, right? What's happening in that mechira?
The status of the three-step process has been passed on.
The third step, which is in the third step of mechira,
It's the transference of the status of the previous two.
slowly.
That's
We're analyzing what mechira is now. So within the area mechira, so we're saying is that what happened. See, that's why it flows so well from the svara before. We said the mechira is the mechira of a nignav. Now the question is, remember that? It's a mechira of a nignav. Now within the area, if you're saying it's a mechira of a nignav, the question is he still defined as a nignav when he's sold back to his a karov? So the Gemara is telling us that no, because when you sold back to a karov, you lose the chalos of a nignav.
Right,
Why?
it's just
Because you're
the
free.
halachic standpoint.
Halachically,
It's
yeah.
just the halachic-
Yes.
Like the din. The din is that he's just not considered sold.
It's not a legitimate
Right.
sale.
Mine's a mechira
Right.
that he becomes me'achav.
It's true.
What should it matter?
What do you mean?
Why should it matter?
No, because now we have to look at the mechira.
No,
But
but
what was the mechira now? What was the mechira? The mechira now.
Why is that the answer?
The mechira has to be what kind of mechira? Mechira where it's a mechira of a nignav, where therefore I'm expressing to my mechira that this guy's a commodity. So if it just goes by the ma'isa mechira, you're right. But what happens if? But the Maskana is telling you is that when you sell him back. See, even we use that term. You sell him back to his parents. When you sell him to the car, what are you really doing? You're not. In other words, he's no longer, by definition, he can't be a commodity anymore because you're freeing him from a state of being a nignav. You understand? When a smart ass would say what? A smart ass would say, oh, but 1 second, let's say you sell him to his friend, right? Like, let's say his friend. But the point is that halacha has to work on an objective system. So Karov, everyone knows if you sell him to Uncle so-and-so, it means he's going to be free. Does it mean that the nignav may experience freedom if I sell David back to you? Of course it could mean that. You know, of course it could be, but we don't care about that. We have to go by objective standards. And Karov is the objective.
What are the parameters of Karov?
Karov. Oh, so it's I would say your normal Krovim.
Is Yaakov my Karov?
No.
I do.
Are you
Bad
related?
question, but how do you determine? It's all Karov means related.
Right.
How far off?
I would say Shiva Krovim, like brother, sister, father, mother, daughter, son.
There's a whole
But
sugya.
that's it. Outside of that,
There's a whole sugya.
Maybe.
Sister,
Right.
if she,
I don't know. So that's a separate question. Now the question is, how do you find a Karov? I don't care about that here.
Probably not, right?
Because you agree with one
in
thing.
general you do, but not right now.
Right now, it's not important for this because
Right.
you know one thing. You know that one thing you have to get out of the mindset is worrying about how it works practically. That's why I love doing these sugyas. Because you know why I love doing these sugyas?
But you do learn something.
Allah doesn't work practically today about this.
But you do learn that down to Allah, yeah?
You can, of course, but I don't
That's kinda
care.
awesome. You see the
I
whole
agree.
thing through.
I understand, but I don't
What's
care right
amazing,
now.
there's going to be a time where this is like the law. Like nowadays, you think like whatever the law of the country is. Like
Oh, you're right. I don't think you can
America,
handle it.
like you just go to jail, whatever it is. There was a point where
You're
this
all
was
set,
like
you're
the
set.
law.
Right. So now, good. Okay. So now let me ask a question.
This
Yeah.
This line.
Like you
Kinda like
go
around.
If you sell them to
everything
got it.
what does that mean?
Okay. Whoa. Okay.
That's
So
not
now,
follow?
yeah,
Just ever.
because you're always.
Well,
So you didn't say.
No. Where would the psul exist by the mechira? I just gave it away. The psul is going to have to exist by the mechira. But why? What is it by the Eved then? What's the having? Having is going to say what?
Because you still have the same. When you're selling a slave, he's sold. That's what that's the slave is. You're not having that.
Okay, good. Keep going.
You're not freeing the slave like.
Okay. So what's a havmina? What's a havmina?
That you should be potter?
Yeah.
That you should be potter?
No, you should be chayev. What's a havmina?
Because you still render him as a commodity.
Oh, well, let's go in order though. What's the assumption, you dope? Let's go in order, okay? Let's go in order. The first Gemara says you would think that you're chayev in selling to a karov because it goes by basically what? I'm doing a mechira, right? But then the Maskana says no, because ultimately, because what happens when I sell to a karov, the status of nignav is now removed.
But I'm
okay?
saying
Now, if that's the case, now the Gemara says
was already there before I took him.
By the Eved?
How's
he a nignav?
Because he's already a slave.
Doesn't make him a nignav.
Oh, fine.
So now the Gemara is saying that by the case of Eved, you would think you're chayev because he's still rendered. You can still render a nignav. Commercial, you're not. So what's the chiddush is telling you?
It's about relation, how you relate to it. It doesn't matter what the experience is. You still relate to this person that you're giving off, even though he's in experienced freedom.
What do you mean?
As someone who can experience freedom, because you're just selling him off.
Well, okay. So again, let's.
The necessary element of mechira is that what you said the permeance, perpetuation of the status. So if the mechira doesn't go along with that and it destroys it, then it's not legitimate mechira.
Okay, I think you're almost there. Okay, so 1 second. So by the case of the karov, so the reason why you're not chayev is because what happens there? His status is being changed. Right? From nignav to...
he was never free when he took it. He didn't take him from free state.
Ari wants to think about it. Hold on, Ari wants to think about it.
He was already an object. He was already being referred to as an object when he was there. He didn't have freedom in the house you took him from. So you're not rendering him an object because he's already rendered an object beforehand. So you're missing that element.
The question is, why is he putter? Right?
Well, we learned how important Masor is.
What's lacking in the mechira? He's almost...
Because you're missing the element of making him into an object, but he's already made into an object beforehand. You have to.
You can never change
him from being related to a. What's it again?
You can never what?
You can never change from being an Eved.
Yeah.
What does the mechira do to the Eved?
What
does the mechira do to the Eved though?
I thought Nigno.
That's his status.
He's just back as
What?
an Eved.
What are we doing?
Right.
He's still an Eved. He was never changed.
Exactly.
Part of mechira has to be a change in status.
Right. In other words, like this. In other words, that. Exactly. In other words, the first move is saying that because remember, what is a problem with mechira here? It's true you're perpetuating a state of nignav, but at the same time, you're not selling him into what do you call it? Donald Trump for like $1 million. So Donald Trump can use him to be like a great guy. You're selling him. There's a reason why it's mim karas eved, because when you sell him, you're selling him to be what? An eved. I mean that's the assumption, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's not the same false sense of reality.
Don't get too philosophical.
I'm saying, but that's ultimately what it is.
But what happens though? Just think halachically first though.
It's an idea that already exists.
No, identity change.
Right, exactly. The first way is saying that. Why you putter? Because you're changing him from nignav to something else. There's a change from A to B. Here the chiddush is that there's no change in the guy. So you would think that who cares? Because by the ma'aseh mechira. But no, since he was defined as the Eved beforehand, it's true he's nignav. But when you do the mechira, what is he? He was still an Eved. Right? And so you never had that change. In other words, it's not enough just to... It's like this. It has to be that...
Why is the change essential?
What do you mean, why is the change essential?
That's
part of Mechira. That's part of the din of Mechira.
Right, but if you're still viewing him as an object...
But he always was.
Okay, but
so the Gemara is telling you that because a guy is defined as an Eved, once he's defined as... No. Once he's an Eved, okay? You kidnap an Eved. You kidnap an Eved, okay? I kidnap him. Now, insofar as Rishos and Imor, I can do that. Now comes Mechira. So when I sell... Right now he's a Nignav. But when I sell him...
Now he's a Nignav.
He's a kidnapped Eved. Right? He's a kidnapped Eved.
Nignav Eved.
Right. But now when I sell him, okay, what am I selling him to be?
Eved.
So has there been any shinoi in his status
of freedom?
No.
What would a shinoi mean?
A change.
Has there been any change in his status of freedom?
Right.
He's a slave, now he's a kidnapped person. What's the difference? He's already no freedom.
There's no shinoi.
He could have more control though.
What do you mean?
Because when he's kidnapped, he had no control because he was tied up.
There is a shino when he's kidnapped, but we're talking about after.
Right, I'm talking about Mechira. The Mechira does not produce a change in the Gavra. That's the problem. So since it doesn't do that, no, because he's still an Eved.
Yeah, but
That's what mechira does. Mechira means I'm selling him to abdus. So if I take it, when you take a nignav and you sell him as an eved, you're now saying that the nignav has now acquired a status he didn't have before. But you can't say that about the eved himself because he's always been an eved.
Like on a gavra level, he didn't change.
Right, exactly. Now, you're right.
learn that
Now,
from-
Arya is correct. You can bring in the experiential into it. You can say, okay, well, from his perspective, he never experienced freedom. So I agree with
That's
that.
the Havmina.
No, the Hamid is going to say it wouldn't matter. The Hamid is going to say that it's only where the status of nignav is removed. In other words, meaning that I'm an anti-nignav. I'm free. That's the opposite of nignav. You understand? The Hamid is saying that. What's the case by the Karov? The case by the Karov is that I'm negating the status of the nignav.
I think it's perfectly placed because
I agree.
right after Krovim,
And you're
you
right.
think like,
Obviously,
oh,
it's
so
just
the
like-
Evet's already
Exactly. It's beautiful. It's all flows.
Would the Havmina say that
Flow. My favorite thing in Gemara.
Krovim, you're pumped by Krovim, or you say you're
Isn't it?
Krovim?
Sick.
Would the Havmina
Next
say
case even better, by the way.
Would the Havmina say that you're pumped by Krovim, or they also say you're high by Krovim?
No, they say no. Now knowing that you're chayav by krovim, I would think. And the hamina by avodim is pater. Knowing that I'm pater from karov, maybe I'll think I'm chayav by evet.
It's just
But you're
that.
chayav in both, right?
Really?
If you're Krovim-
Ultimately you're pater in both.
Really?
Yeah.
So why the Havmina are you chayav by Krovim?
my brain.
The first hamina, because you say it's a mechira. Who cares about this the nignav or not? I did a mechira.
And
Who cares? You do a mechira too. Who cares?
There's no change.
Weird.
No, you're pater. No, by the first case you're pater by the karov. Because why? Because now you're changing him from nignav to free, right? So that's a psul in the mechira. The second move the Gemara now makes is that, okay, well that's very nice. That's where you have a change. But what if there's no change in the status? Maybe we'll say you're still chayav. Gemara says no, there's pater. That you must render him into a nignav. So as long as defined as an eved, you can't do that. You lack that ability by mechira. You can't render him into a nignav by mechira because he's already defined as an eved.
If he's already defined as an Eved and you can't sell him, then you should be potter.
So you can't sell him. The mechira there's a psul in the mechira. By
You can't
mitoras nignav, Torah's geneva.
If you can't do the Mechira, that means that you're potter, right?
You've done a selling. There's just a psul in the mechira.
I mean, in the halachic Mechira.
Malacha mechira, right? You sold him, but you're not. No,
Yeah, because you couldn't complete the.
you're chayav min keres eved. You're pater gonev the fashos. You're not defined as a kidnapper. You did a mechira, but you're not defined as a kidnapper. Because being a kidnapper requires you to change the status of the guy.
Okay. And how?
You can do that in Rishus and Emor, but you can't do that at mechira.
Also, the Havin is just not worried about change.
Right.
So
The Havin is
say
saying,
both of them. Then.
But that change.
no.
affects you also.
What?
Making that change affects you.
What do you mean?
Meaning, if you're taking an Evid and turning him into someone that you can
because,
sell, that affects you more, less so from when you're taking a regular person and selling him.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's a big
Yeah,
difference.
fine. Yeah, fine. I would agree with
They
that.
flip like Eved was Chayiv and Krovim was Potter, and then Krovim was Chayiv.
No, the order of the words like this. You would have thought that Krovim is chayav, Kamashon Pater. Knowing that you're Pater by Karov, you would have thought of Adam's chayav, Kamashon your Pater. That's the flow.
Okay.
Now what I'm saying is that the two conceptual ideas like this. The first move is to say that the removal of Nigdav is the issue by Mechira, and the second move is to say that no, it's just simply a Shinui per se is required. And you can't do a Shinui in the status of the guy. If he's always defined as an Eved, then you're Pater from Gonev the Fashos.
But you're still over two.
Yes.
If he's
Do
always,
we care about that right now? No.
He's always
What do we-
waiting.
Yes,
what do
over
you
to
get for
Malchus.
He's always what is Evan?
You also get Malchus.
Mongoose?
Double
That's it?
Malchus.
No, you won't get. You never get double Malchus.
You
You
just
Oh,
get one.
get Misa. No, you get Misa.
No, I mean, the
The
Mongoose
two
Evan
Malchus
also
and
what?
Lisa?
No. Remember, you missed the spot. You were here for the Svar last week?
No.
Oh my God! You missed that's the whole pivotal.
Yeah,
That's how we got to this point.
So,
Well, let me just real quickly. No, I don't think I put it up yet. But this is no. You got to understand this point to appreciate why this is such a great svara. In other words, the Gemara said before, "Gunva v'lo machra." All right, right beforehand, the Gemara right beforehand says, "Gunva v'lo machro." Right? Let's say you kidnap him, let's say you kidnap but don't sell him. And it says machro v'dayin yeshna b'shusa, or you sell him and he's still in your rishus your pater. So the question is, what kind of stupid havmin is that? It's stupid. Why? Because we know you can't be chayiv and going to fashos if you don't sell the guy. So why would the Gemara ever possibly waste our time in writing this? That'd be like saying you're chayiv and dalminim, right? And then the Gemara says, so don't think that if you picked up 3 of the 4, you're yotzei. That's absurd, right? Because I want to say it like this. I want to say is that you see what makes this. Listen to this. What makes this Isser so unique of all these I can't say every Isser, but from many Isurim, is that you have 2 separate Isurim together. Okay, you have Lo Signov and you have Mimkeres Eved, and together they produce Gonev Nefashos. Very strange. Why the Torah set up this? Now, when I say this carefully, not why did God have to do it this way, but what do we learn from this formulation? So there's two possibilities. I'm going to use chemistry as an example. Okay, one way is to say it'd be like mixing together oil and water. What happens when you mix up oil and water together?
Doesn't mix.
They don't mix, but they coexist,
Yeah.
right? But what's lacking when you mix? Almost said it. What's lacking when you mix oil and water together?
Mental.
No.
No.
One doesn't do what? One has no effect on the other. Okay, by virtue of the two things not being able to mix, one doesn't affect the other. So the Gemara's having is like this:
I'm not sure. I don't know.
oil and water mixed together, right? But the fact that they don't actually they coexist, but they don't interact. There's no interaction because they don't come together.
Okay.
Physically, they're side by side.
Okay.
So the original way, the Havina was like this. The Havina is that, one second, you have two Yisurim, so is it possible, not halakhically, that's ridiculous, but conceptually, maybe you'll say that they're separate phenomena. They coexist, but they're separate. Okay? Gonev v'lo machra, meaning that, can there an idea of Geneva exist without Mechira? Right? Because they're two Yisurim that coexist. Oil and water have separate identities. Because water is oil.
I don't care. Who cares? That's why they was in the same beaker. I don't care if they coexist and shake hands or if they.
No, I'll tell you why. Because one way to look at it is that Geneva and Mechira are two separate conceptual phenomena. But the Gemara says no. There's another way to look at chemistry, which is where you have two compounds, and when they produce the result, you can have oil and water. You can have a mixture of oil and water, like a salad dressing. A salad dressing is composed of oil and
A
water.
little soap into oil and water, it combines.
Okay, hold on. Great. But anyway,
You can tie that into
Yes.
your analogy.
but I'm saying you can call salad dressing that's composed of oil and water. You can say it's called salad dressing, right? They can produce a new idea. But another thing also, you could say that you're a chef. You can mix, this for sure applies to what you do. Sometimes you can mix things together, and by virtue of mixing them, one has an effect on the other. Whereas they affect each other. Okay, in chemistry it happens all the time. You take compound A and compound B, you mix them, they also produce a new entity. But they produce a new entity by virtue of the effect one has on the other. Okay? So,
As opposed to what other.
I'll explain to you why. So, when you sell the guy, it's not a mechira, it's not that you kidnap someone and there's an isra mechiras eved. It's that you're mocher, you're selling a slave. That,
What you kidnap somebody, you did,
and then you sell him.
Rishus and you
Emor, and then you sell him.
And then you
Okay?
sell him.
So you would think since there's a pre-existing isser of selling a slave, so over the isser of selling a slave. That's what the isser is. So therefore, Geneva plus Mechiras Eved equals Gonev Nefashos. That's one way to look at it.
Repeat that?
Okay, one way to look at it is that oil plus water. Geneva, meaning Rishus Emor,
Yeah.
plus Mechiras Eved,
Gives
which is the
you
pre-existing isser,
Gonev.
right, equals kidnapping. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Right? So but that's what the Gemara is telling you. The Gemara is telling you that that's not how you look at it. What you look at it is as follows. You look at it as that it's Gonev, you kidnap the guy.
You're chayiv if you had just had
Not chayav halachically. It's saying that
Conceptually.
is there a reality to kidnapping, or is there a reality to mechira separate? There's a reason why it says Gonev lo machro. Is there a reality to mechira separate from Geneva? Is there a reality to
a
it?
person.
How
It's something
how could it
in
possibly
kidnapping.
be? If it's a necessary element, if it's necessary.
Hold on, I'll tell you why. I'll explain to you what it means. Is there a conception? In other words, is it that they took two? It's an abstract idea, okay? So it's not so easy to follow. But did the Torah take two concepts, two isurim, and just bring them together, right? And say now this plus this equals
Or this
kidnapping.
inherently tied.
Or it equals kidnapping, right? So therefore, it's shimush plus emor plus rishus, and then I sell him because I'm selling an eved. In other words, I'm doing mechiras eved equals kidnapping. Or no? Did the Torah say that the two phenomenon, when I kidnap the guy, okay, this is the hard part, I kidnap him, he's defined as a nignav, and now there's a new isser, so to speak, called mimkeres, again, nignav. In other words, I'm selling someone who's been defined as kidnapped, meaning that the Geneva affects the mimkeres eved. It's not two things that coexist. One affects the other. So you can never have an idea of mechira when it comes to kidnapping separate from the Geneva. It's one phenomenon.
And he's selling somebody that was
Isn't that he got the
selling
definition?
someone that you did make use of.
We'll say it again.
Meaning selling someone that you didn't take into your rishus, or selling someone that you didn't make use of.
Right. In other words, like this. In other words, that the mechira. That's why it says the next case, mechira of someone who's still in your rishus. Why would the Gemara bring that case in? It's beautiful because the mechira has to be the result of someone who's defined as a nignav. You understand? The mechiras eved, it's true it's a separate isser, but it's not a separate isser that it coexists with the other one.
So
it's an isser that, I don't want to say it's enmeshed, it's like it meshes with the gneva. You know what I mean? It's like the one affects the other.
Is the question, does it become, is it, okay, I don't know, I'll say it. Is the question that he gets the status of a nigno after the sale or before the sale?
No, before. In other words, in order to be over
the question at all.
The isser, it's not that the Torah took isser A, created isser A v'lo signov, borrowed isser B, and put them side by side. What the Torah said was it took.
What happens as a result if it did that? What changes then?
So if it did that, nothing practical. There's no practical benefit here. This is purely conceptual. If the Torah did that, then you could posit that mechira can exist separately, conceptually, from Geneva.
No, what does that mean? What does that mean? Could it exist separately?
Can you see oil and water existing separately? When you mix, as much as you mix them together, do they ever mix together? No.
We already know those silk cores.
I know, but the question is, what happens when the Torah took Mimkaris Eved and put it side by side with Lo Signo? What happened? Did it just say these two coexist, right? And 1 + 1 = 2, or did it say that we're going to now say that Mimkaris Eved is not the same Mimkaris Eved of just Stam taking David and selling him?
I don't. Why are you putting Mimkaris Eved with Mimkaris Nigno? You confuse the heck out of me.
Because the Torah calls it Mimkaris Eved. That's what it calls it. That's the Isser. Right, just the person. You know, okay, so you would think there's two Isserim. The first Isser is to kidnap David, meaning
Rishus and
Emor, and then the second Isser is to sell him as an Eved, meaning he's a person. I'm selling a person, and those two, taking him into my Rishus and Emor.
Going into the after both of those things.
Right, but that would therefore mean the idea of the Mechira is separate from the idea of the Geneva.
No, it's not.
It is. Because it exists in your mind conceptually.
It's separate from what?
It works as a two parts.
Right, it's two parts of a process.
It's separate from what?
From the Geneva. I have to do two steps. The 2 steps required.
You call this a beaker. I have to acknowledge that it has oil and water. I don't care again if they're like this or like this.
I know, but that's the thing. Because you're still thinking in the mindset of what's the difference.
I'm trying.
You're right, there is no practical difference. But conceptually, there's a huge difference because it's how the halacha was structured. They structured it. The Torah structured in a specific way, where it said that the mechira of the guy who kidnapped, it's not that you're over their normal isser. I guess that's a simple way to put it. The normal isser of selling someone, right? And therefore, kidnapping plus selling someone equals kidnapper. It's that the mechira is a mechira of a nignav. It means that the isser of lo signov affects the mechira itself. In order to be over the Isser of Mkiris Eved of Gonev Nefashos, he must be defined as a Nignav. That means that they're not coexisting, but one's affecting the other. That's a different idea. That's a whole new Isser. A whole new Isser. By the way, that's the reason why.
Maybe another day.
No, but that's the reason why. It's not just a technicality. It's not a technicality that you can't have Malkus and Misa. It's saying that the Torah is structured in a way where you would get Malkus for a Lo Signav on its own. You would get Malkus for Mechir on its own. But you get Misa for the two together. Why Misa for the two together? Because one's affected the other. It's one phenomenon.
Did you just give me the hypothetical practical difference that I wasn't listening to?
Maybe.
Can you give it again? It doesn't do a real practical difference. You just give me a hypothetical practical difference. Don't understand this idea. I'm not very into conceptual. If it's not practical, I don't know. I mean, see, it's fine, but if it could be a hypothetical practical example, that would really help me understand this. Can I have a hypothetical? There's no hypothetical practical example.
No, I'm trying to think. What would be the practical? There's really none.
It's just like in the gap.
Oh no! I'll tell you where it is. I'll tell you where it is. These cases now by selling back to the Karov and selling them as an Eved.
Say it again? Selling
them to the Karov, because that's the whole point. You have to establish you're doing a Kira of a Nignav in order for the Havamina of selling to a Karov to emerge. You understand? If it's just a Mechira Eved, so then why would it ever matter that I'm selling it back to a father or not? It wouldn't matter. But because he's defined as a Nignav, that's why it's a problem.
6 minutes ago, you would not. I would not.
I don't know. The Havamina. Why would you assume that if you have one and not the other, even though you're saying understanding them as two parts? Why would you think that if you only had one, can it then be and then sell?